What are you afraid of? What are the fears that you have that make such an impact in your life on the decision that you make because of those fears that you have? If you don't face, one thing I know is that if you don't face your fear, you will make mistakes, you'll be vulnerable to disaster, you will take decisions that don't benefit you, and you will put yourself in the camp of the enemy. Let me just backtrack and talk about finding yourself at the camp of the enemy. David was a warrior. He was a warrior who conquered Goliath. He was a warrior who won so many wars. He was known, he was feared, he was respected. But one thing that David was close to God. He had that relationship with God. But one thing that David feared, or who he feared, it was Saul. And also he wanted the approval of Saul. And he became a boy. He became the issue that is a warrior and what he has achieved and his position with God. It didn't matter if Saul's name came up or he thought of Saul or Saul appeared. He found himself running away from Saul, that he found himself in the camp of the enemy. He found himself at the tribe of the Philistine, I think it's the Philistine if I'm not mistaken, Goliath, where Goliath was, and they recognized this is David. And he had to pretend like he has lost his mind, that he is now insane and he's not okay mentally, for them to think that he has lost his power and to let go of him. And he acted like, he's not normal anymore in the head. What are you afraid of? That's the question I have today for you. What are you afraid of? For me, sorry for that. For me, I'll talk for me, Kensani, and people who might be my age. It can be other people who are younger than me. You find as women, we are afraid to be alone. We are afraid that you ask yourself that you have married, you have divorced, you have tried relationships, and it's not the kind of relationship that you were seeking for. But because you may find yourself that you are afraid to be alone, you start to imagine and thinking, will I die being alone? You start thinking, comparing situations of somebody that can be a relative, can be a grandmother, can be an aunt, can be a neighbor, whoever, who died being alone, not being married. And you are like, I don't want to be like that. But the question is that what are you willing to compromise for you to not to find yourself being alone? I think we need to understand that being alone doesn't mean we are lonely. And there is nothing wrong with waiting. We need to wait in the Lord. And waiting doesn't mean now. It doesn't mean tomorrow. Waiting is to be obedient to God, what He wishes for us to have. We are having a lot of marriages that are ended up in divorce and long-term relationships. People have been in relationship for so many years, but they are not fulfilled in those relationships. They don't have peace. They are not content in those relationships or marriages because they are afraid to be alone. I'm not saying people must go and lodge a divorce, but I'm saying if you are afraid to be alone, it will even show in the way you choose your partner. It will even show the way you are unable to stay alone and wait upon the Lord and say, you know what, Lord, the way I trust you. The way I trust you, I'm willing to wait. And waiting, it will be determined by your time. Not my time. Not now. And you will know when I'm ready. The trap of being afraid to be alone is got so many impacts and complications if you don't tread carefully. You are not disabled by being alone if you have not found the one. You are not, it doesn't mean you are not enough by being alone because you have not found the one that you can see that as much as marriage or whatever, marriage is not supposed to be perfect. It's two imperfect people coming together. But you need to find a common ground. You need to find commonality. You need to compromise. But compromise not in a way that is going to take away your peace and your joy. And you forget who you are. And you find yourself, you're no longer the bubbly, crazy, spontaneous Kansani that you know that you are. So my question is that the relationship that you are in, the marriage that you are in, unfortunately, I'm not saying people must leave their marriage. I'm not saying that. But those who are not married yet, and those who want to remarry, and those who are in relationships, are those long-term relationships that you are in, are they fulfilling you? Are they giving you that peace? Are they giving you that peace of mind? Do you sleep peacefully, or you sleep passively because you have given up? You are just saying, what can I do? I can't change this person, but you know deep down that this is not for me. And the issue of being afraid, some of us like me who don't have children, you are afraid that I can die not having children. And you find yourself at the camp of the enemy. I'll still go back to the issue of the camp of the enemy. You'll go back at the camp of the enemy. You find yourself there because you're afraid that, what if I die without children? You try to think, what will happen to my money? Who will take care of me? Wada. You feel like you are not worthy. You are worthy as you are. The problem is that when you become desperate, you will even go to places where you're not supposed to. You will end up at the camp of the enemy. You will end up having children with the people that you know. You don't align with their belief system. We don't align with their values. The background, your background and theirs is just different. Their opinion, everything. So even if you have a child with that person, it's going to be a tug of war, because you will be fighting about everything about the upbringing and just the two of you. The belief system, the God that they pray also. Do you want to have a child for just to have a child who's not within what God planned for us? As much as we say children are plan of God, but is the whole process God's plan? Are you looking at the age? Yes. You know, community tells us about our biological clock is ticking. But God is the one who made us. He's the one who must decide. Are you desperate that you will find yourself, that you will look for a child at the camp of your enemy? Those are the questions that I want you to ask yourself. It's the same question that I am asking myself, that I've answered myself. And I am, for me, Kenzani, I am not willing to find myself at the camp of the enemy because of the fear. What are you afraid of? I've given you two things that they were my fear before, which I've conquered. And I'm still conquering. Yes, there are days where it comes up and all that, but I always remember that the God who has made me, he made me perfect and he made me whole and with a purpose. With a purpose. Is marriage beautiful? Yes. But marriage is more holier when you marry and you are with the right person. But we stay in relationships which don't fulfill us, which kill us spiritually, mentally, psychologically, and everything, because you feel like I I'm running out of time. Who said you're running out of time? For what? So you rather spend the rest of your time, the time left, being miserable. I always say with my friends, we are in our 40s, going to 50s now. We're working towards 50s. This is not the time to make mistakes. This is not the time to mess up with your life, because the mistakes that you make in your 40s, you cannot overturn. The damage is too much, because 40s is the foundation now, is the ceiling. It's not even, is the foundation, is the windows, is the ceiling for the old age. That is just how I view it. So that is the question that I have. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? Face your fears and ask yourself, what is the worst that can happen? If I know what I want, and I say I go for what I want, and I wait for what I want and what I know I deserve. I won't say what you need, because you can live without another person. A need is something you cannot survive with. If you need a partner, it's a problem. You must want a partner. If you need a child, it's a problem. It is a problem. Anything else that you must need, it must be food and the air that we breathe and our health. Everything else is not a need. That is just my perspective by Kensani. So I will repeat. What are your fears? Are you conscious of your fear? And are you facing them? Because if you don't face your fears, they rule you, you will find yourself at the enemy camp.